Today I'm going to show you 3 simple YouTube Studio lighting setups. For the lights I'm going to use the Ambitful P60C LED lights. I have one of them here behind me. Ambitful sent me 2 of these lights a couple of weeks ago to test out on my YouTube channel. So far they aren't that bad for the price. They get fairly bright, color accurate, they have decent build quality for the price, and also they come with this included remote controller to control the brightness of the light and also change the color if you want to. I'm also going to use my Pocket RGB light, the Ambitful A1. Currently it's flashing blue color on this side of the wall, and this is pretty much it when it comes to lighting, because I want to make it as simple as possible for you to recreate what I'm going to show you in this video. With that being said, let me adjust all the lights and then we're going to break down the first YouTube Studio lighting setup. Alright, so this is the first YouTube Studio lighting setup. It's very simple, very clean. Behind me I have an empty wall. I'm not using a backdrop or something like that. So you can achieve this look pretty much anywhere as long as you have a wall behind you and also obviously some lights. Now let me break down everything, how I position my lights, brightness, and so on. Let's start with the key light. The key light is as close as possible to me, just to give me the softest and most pleasing light possible. I have also attached this included softbox to the Ambitful P60C to make the light even more soft and even more pleasing. The brightness is set to 1% of brightness to make the light not as harsh and not as sourcey. And then finally, the light is a little bit above me, pointing downwards towards my face. I'm also using a fill light, the same light, the Ambitful P60C, with a softbox, but this time I'm also using a grid just to reduce the spill on the background as much as possible. It's also set to 1% of brightness. It's a little bit above me, pointing downwards, but this time a little bit further away than the key light. And the reason I'm using a fill light is just to fill the shadows on this side of my face. So let me show you how it's going to look like if I'm going to turn off the fill light completely. So now the fill light is completely off, and as you can see, the shadows on this side of my face are much more harsh than before. So it's definitely a good idea to use a fill light in this kind of a situation, because the key light at the moment is really tiny and small, and when the key light is small, you'll have much more shadows on the opposite side of the subject or my face in this situation. But you don't have to use a dedicated light as a fill light. You can use something like this, a white foam board. It's not working as good as a light, but it's filling in some of the shadows on this side of my face. So now it's without the foam board, with it, without, with the foam board. You get the point. One more thing that I can do with this light to reduce some of the shadows on this side of my face is to use this light as a rim light. So let's see how that's going to look like. Alright, and right now I'm using the second light as a rim light. This is how it looks like. And obviously I can change the color to something like orange with these lights and make the rim light a little bit more pleasing. So let me do that 1 second. And this is how it looks like when the rim light is set to 3200 Kelvin or tungsten light. It looks much more pleasing in my opinion than just using the white light. Now let's talk about my background light. I'm using the Ambitful A1 Pocket RGB light in the background. It's flashing currently purple color on the wall, but I can change the color if I want to. So maybe I can go green, I can go red, I can go teal or blue, which looks really nice with the orange light on this side of my face, or I can go really simple, minimalistic, can go plain white. So this is basically the first YouTube Studio lighting setup. Very clean, very simple. Key light, fill light or rim light, and also one Pocket RGB light as a background light. Now let me show you the second YouTube Studio lighting setup. And this is the second YouTube Studio lighting setup. I'm using the same lights that I was using before, but in a different way. So let me break down exactly what's going on here. The key light is in the same position, same angle, same everything pretty much, but this time I'm using a different modifier. So rather than using this little softbox from Ambitful or modifier, I'm now using this big diffusion umbrella that I bought for like $3 or $5 a couple of years ago. And it makes the key light much bigger and hence much softer than with this little softbox from Ambitful. As for the fill light, I'm using the white foam board as a fill light because this time my key light is big enough and also soft enough Then the second LED light I'm using as ambience light, if that's how you call it. It's basically pointing at the ceiling. My ceiling is white, and then the ceiling acts as a huge softbox, and it's basically illuminating the background. Let me turn off the second LED light so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And this is how it looks like when the second LED light is completely turned off. As you can see, the background is much darker than before, and this is maybe what you want. If you want your background to be darker, then don't use something like this light, but if you want to raise the overall ambience light in the background, this is definitely a cool trick, just to shine light at the ceiling, and the ceiling is going to basically evenly raise the ambience in the background. And finally, I'm also using my pocket RGB light on this side of the frame. It's basically shining white light on the door. So let me turn it off. Now it's off, now it's on. As you can see, it makes a little bit of a difference. And obviously I can change color. I can put it to blue, which looks really nice. And I can put it to teal, I can put it to green, I can put it to red, which also looks pretty cool. All right, now let's move on to the third YouTube Studio lighting setup. And this is the final YouTube Studio lighting setup. Let me break it down as quick as possible. For the key light, 2 unbeatable P60C LED lights at 100% of brightness. This is how it's going to look like at 1%, 20%, 40%, 60, 80, and 100. Then for the fill light, I'm using the white foam board to fill in the shadows on this side of my face. And finally, I'm also using my pocket RGB light. It's set to 5600 Kelvin. It's basically shining on this plant behind me. This is off, on, off, on. I can also put it to RGB, maybe like blue color looks nice, or maybe even green looks very nice in this scenario. Then maybe purple or whatever, you get the idea. And this is pretty much it. And obviously I have my window behind me, which acts as a rim light, as a backlight, which looks very nice. All right, this is pretty much it. I hope you find this video informative and useful. Let me know down below if you have any questions or comments about lighting or whatever. And I guess I will see you in the next one. Peace out.